A lot of updates with respect to the all-important CBI case. We have understood now that the Supreme Court said that the Centre and CVC will submit a report in a sealed cover, that 10 days may not be sufficient. Supriya Srinath now joins in. And Supriya, fill us in with what exactly we're picking up right now.
So at this stage, we're given to understand that the Supreme Court has said that this probe into the role of the CBI director and the special director has to be completed in a time period of 10 days. It has to be supervised by either a sitting or a retired judge. The CVC, of course, has said 10 days is too short a period. But remember, the CBI director, Alok Verma, has moved court essentially saying exactly that he has a constitutional tenure of a fixed 2-year period. He cannot be removed or forced to go on leave at will. There is a committee headed by the Prime Minister, the leader of the opposition, and the CJI that appoints him, and CVC can't remove him. Of course, arguments will go back and forth, but I think the operative part is that the 10-day deadline will have to be met as far as inquiry is concerned. The inquiry will have to be done in a period of 10 days, which will perhaps take care of any clouds of uncertainty thereafter. It has also very categorically said that the interim CBI director, Nageshwar Rao, will not be taking policy decisions, and he will be doing routine CBI work. He will not be looking into, so my own sense is he's not going to be looking into the high-profile legal matters. He's not going to be looking at the high-profile cases that both Asthana and Verma were supervising, some of them extremely politically sensitive in nature, whether it's INX Media or Aircel Maxis or Mayawati's disproportionate asset case. So things like that will not be touched by Nageshwar Rao, and in some sense his tenure is going to be stymied, because it's a 10-day period in which the inquiry has to be committed, and also it is very important to realize here that the sitting CBI interim director cannot touch upon policy decisions. If I have experts, I'd like to go across to them right here on ET Now to understand what this means. Okay, as of now we don't have experts, but I think it's a partial snub. It is not an outright snub for the government. It's not as if he has been reinstated in his position, but there is a 10-day deadline that the courts have given the gentleman. The 10-day deadline is finish your inquiry in a period of 10 days and then come back to us CVC, of course, and rightly so, because it has ordered an inquiry, will say that the period is not sufficient. Switch on this television in front of me, please. I'd like to see more information coming in. So I really think it's a big development. A tenure of 10 days to finish the inquiry, no direct snub for the government in terms of the tenure being cut short or reinstated. But I think the courts have spoken their mind when they say that Nageshwar Rao cannot be taking policy decisions. If we don't have guests, maybe we can wrap up now and come back when we do have experts to talk on this story, because this is the big story that is going to move the policy directions and political directions in a bit. Remember, there is a political slugfest that's already on. We are given to understand that at some point in time, Mr. Verma was likely to move a PU on Rafale. That's the allegation that has come in from the opposition. That clearly he did not do. I've got Sagarika Ghosh on the phone line joining me right here. And Sagarika, even though it may not be a direct snub and the courts have not reinstated Mr. Alok Verma, they have very categorically said that in a 10-day period, a report has to be submitted, the probe has to be completed, one that has to be supervised by a sitting or a former judge. And also they have categorically said that Nageshwar Rao cannot be taking policy decisions. He is at best going to do routine CBI job. Sagarika, your quick thoughts on the verdict from the Supreme Court.
Supriya, as you rightly said, that they have not reinstated, the court has not reinstated CBI Director Alok Verma, because if the court had done that, that would have been a severe political and moral indictment of the Modi government and the manner in which the CBI chief was sent on leave at 2 a.m. at night. But what the court has equally strongly done is that it has said that the appointment of the interim director of the CBI, which is Mr. Nageshwar Rao, is basically it is not valid because he cannot take policy decisions. So that is a very strong statement coming out there from the Apex Court that the appointment of the interim director is not valid. He cannot take policy decisions because remember the director of the CBI is appointed by a committee consisting of the Chief Justice of India, the leader of the opposition and the Prime Minister. So on what basis does the government have the power to appoint an interim director? That is something that the Apex Court has clearly questioned. The fact that it has said that the CVC has been given 10 days to conduct this inquiry is also important because it has said that a time-bound inquiry has to be conducted by the Central Vigilance Commission as to why the director was sent on leave and why this action was taken by the government. So the court has actually given a very strong judgment.
I will have to come in there. I think Biswajit Bhattacharya. Okay, Sagarika, give me a minute. I'll have to come in there. Biswajit Bhattacharya from, a legal voice joins us here, former ASG in the Government of India. It's very categorical and the Supreme Court has asked the centre two things. It has not just asked that Nageshwar Rao cannot take any policy decision. It has also said it wants in a sealed cover the decisions taken till date by the interim CBI director after being assigned interim charge as CBI director. How are you going to read into these developments? Is the court actually telling the government, do not tamper with whatever is happening at the CBI right now? We want to apprise ourselves of where the agency is headed. And what will it mean for existing cases? For the next 10 days, nothing can be touched because the report is still not out.
You're asking me? Hello? Hello?
Go ahead.
Yeah. This is...
Go ahead.
I think the Supreme Court has acted correctly, and now what kind of response the government gives, and as far as the inquiry into the matter is concerned, that will also be extremely, crucial. And the fact that the interim director will not be able to take any policy decision also, according to me, is appropriate. So at this stage...
joining us. Okay, Mr. Bhattacharya, give me a minute. I'll go across to Majid Menon, who's also joining us on the phone line right here. And Mr. Menon, how are you going to read into the developments? It's not a direct snub for the government. The CBI director, it's not as if he's been reinstated, but a time-bound inquiry has to happen in a period of 10 days. And more importantly, Nageshwar Rao cannot take policy decisions. And the courts also want to know what has he acted or decided upon ever since he's been given charge of interim director CBI.
CVC is supposed to be monitoring the functioning of CBI as a general rule. And now here CVC makes certain allegations of non-cooperation or inaction on the part of CBI director for which they want to make inquiry. Now Supreme Court has very fairly granted them 10 days time to come back with whatever they have to say before the court as far as allegations against the director of CBI is concerned. But more importantly, there are also petitions filed by Prashant Bhushan and others, and also some other organizations with regard to the allegations against Asthana, Rakesh Asthana. And I don't know, the Supreme Court, I think in the course of the day, would be taking that up and passing appropriate orders.
Actually, they've said that, retired Supreme Court Judge AK Patnaik is going to supervise the CVC inquiry against Alok Verma. And I think they've also taken a decision on Mr. Asthana. Even his inquiry has to be completed in the next 10 days. But I think on that note, we'll leave it at that. We'll go back to markets. We will, of course, talk later this evening. This is a big development as far as the CBI versus CBI, the tamasha is concerned. The CBI is at war within itself. itself, the CBI Special Director and the CBI Director have hurled grave charges of corruption and bribery against each other, even to the extent saying there was an extortion racket being run. Alok Verma in his petition before the Supreme Court says the government was putting tacit pressure on cases that were not going in a favourable way that the government would have desired. So in some sense, the courts have taken cognizance of the charges. They have not outrightly denied what the government or what the either side is saying. They've given a 10-day period for this probe to be completed, to be supervised by the retired Supreme Court Judge AK Patnaik. But of course, going forward, we'll get you more details on this story. It's back to you in the studios to take it forward with the markets.
Priya, thank you so much for walking us through that big breaking story and big political development as well, to a great extent, as you've been mentioning that it is a political slugfest. That's the latest breaking story that we have. The complete probe, according to the Supreme Court by the CVC, against Alok Verma in the next 10 days.